something good today. Sorry, this last week I was out visiting a customer, and I happened to just drive by a big. It was through an industrial estate, and I noticed that up on the side of the building, Mitutoyo, and I thought, well, interesting. Well, it turns out that it's a sort of northern support centre. I think they've got four premises around the UK. Andover, I think, is their headquarters. But the one in Halifax is a sort of showroom and training centre and calibration centre. And so anyway, I put my head through the door, and I said, "Hello, I'm a user of your products." They said, "Oh, you're good." And I said, "I just wondered if you had a catalogue of your products, because I know that you make an awful lot of products, and I have to sort of wade my way through the internet to try and see what you've got and what you haven't got, and quite often it's hard to see the interesting stuff and not." And the guy said, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah, I'll go and get you one." So he popped out and he brought me this, which is the full UK Mitutoyo catalogue, and it is absolutely fantastic. Not only is it a catalogue, but it is also a full price list. So it gives you the price, obviously the net, excluding VAT, price of everything they make, and they make absolutely tons of stuff. And of course, when you get onto the fancy stuff, all of this sort of electronic test equipment, some of which is pretty amazing actually. They do a load of stuff that I didn't even know they did. I mean, they do loads of microscopes, and then obviously test equipment based on microscopes, sort of shadowgraph type machines and such like. But it's an ace catalogue. Not only that, but it has, at the back of each section, it's got how to use them, hints and tips, and what you should and shouldn't do, and micrometer stuff there. And what's this one here? This is on something to do with step gauges or something. But anyway, fantastic. And then what I actually realised is what amazing value I've had from some of the tools that I bought. I mean, for instance, these are my go-to micrometers. These are 1 inch in half of tenths of thou, or 0.001 of a millimetre accuracy. And these are absolutely fantastic and an absolute delight to use. They're IP67. They read absolutely cock on. They've got a lovely feel. They're just a really nice micrometer. The other thing I really like, and this sounds silly, but the case, I mean, all of them, I've got lots of Moore and Wright micrometers, and they're nice. They're very nice micrometers, very similar to the Starets. And but one of the things that really annoys me about them is that when you come to put them away, if they're like that, if you've got the actual measurement unscrewed, and of course you should never put a micrometer away with the jaws up against one another. You should always back them off slightly. But when you come to put them in their box, you have to wind them up. But with Mitutoyo boxes, there's enough room to put them away with the barrel completely unwound, which is absolutely great. So you can actually leave them in the region of whatever you're measuring, and then you can shut the box, which is really good. I've got a full set of Mitutoyo analog micrometers, going from this is the only digital set I've got, but I've got a full analog set right up to, I'm not quite sure what it is, it's probably I think 250 mil. So I mean, these have been fairly heavily used, but I don't use these very often. But when I do need them, they're still pretty accurate as far as I know. Well, I do know, because I'll tell you why I do know. Let me just go and get this. Now, what I do know is what fantastic value these have been. Now, I bought most of these whilst I've been at my local, let me just put that back there, whilst I've been at my local auto jumble. Now, so for instance, now, again, this is something I don't use very often, but here we go, a set of Mitutoyo gauge blocks, or Joe blocks as the Americans call them. A full set of gauge blocks. Now, there are some missing. You don't get these in any sets. These are wear blocks, and also they're in. This is an imperial set, and that's probably one of the reasons why they come on the market relatively inexpensively. It has got a couple of blocks missing. There's a couple there missing and a couple there missing. Now, in the catalogue, you can buy them individually, Ironically, I paid. Now get this, I paid £35 for this set. There's 100 blocks in there. They're in pretty good order. I mean, they've still got all of the machining, you know, the actual engraving on them, telling you what size they are, and they're in fairly good order. Some of them have had a bit more wear than others, but on the other occasions that I need to use them on for measuring heights or angles or such like, they're actually very useful. But I can I can calibrate all my micrometers relatively well on them. I don't know what the accuracy of these ones are, but in the catalogue they have two sets about this size, one which is a class A and one which is a class B, and I assume that's to do with the accuracy. But the cheapest set is about £2,000, and I paid 30 quid for that. So that is phenomenal good value, I think. But as I say, I don't use them an awful lot, but they're just really handy to have when you do need them. And again, that caliper there, the guy wanted 30 quid for that, and I snapped his hand off. Now it may be bashed and bruised and not terribly accurate, but I have measured it against these blocks, and it does seem to be absolutely cock on. It's got carbide ends. All of their micrometers have got carbide ends, so they don't get particularly worn. As I say, I've tested all of these against my gauge blocks, and I know that's not perfect, but you can see the ends of these anvils are there's absolutely no marks or wear on those with them being carbide. In fact, these could do with cleaning up. They're a bit grubby. Some of them I only picked up quite recently. I've managed to get the whole set bit by bit just by perseverance and keeping my eye out. You do have to make sure you've got a note of the, excuse that's the washing machine on its spin cycle, which is always nice, isn't it? But it's you do have to keep a note of the micrometers that you're short of, otherwise you end up buying the same micrometer twice, which I have got a couple of. But you know, I'm paying £5 for these, and in that catalogue there, these are hundreds of pounds each. These bigger ones, maybe not this one, but some of the bigger ones are. So anyway, if you're near a Mitutoyo, one of these Mitutoyo offices, pop in and get the catalogue, because it's brilliant. It shows you every little single bit that you can get. I've got a big height gauge somewhere that's up there, but anyway, I'm sure you know what a height gauge looks like. But I really like their stuff, I have to say. I mean, I was a big Murray & Wright and Brown and Sharp user before, and I still use them occasionally. But Mitutoyo stuff has the edge. It is really, really nice stuff.